The loop of time. Imagine time isn't a straight line, but a loop. Every moment you live, every thought you have, has already happened and will happen again, forever. Every day, you wake up and experience everything as though it's new. But in reality, you've already lived this day an infinite number of times. The thoughts you're thinking right now, the feelings you're experiencing, you've felt them countless times before. Now, imagine you become aware of this loop. As soon as you realize it, your mind starts to wander, thinking, what's the point? If everything is destined to repeat, does anything matter? But then, what if you only become aware of the loop once you've thought about it? What if this realization, this thought, is the very trigger that loops you back to the beginning? And if you go back, will you forget everything? Or will you remember? How far down the rabbit hole can you go before the line between real and loop disappears? If time loops infinitely, does it matter when you realize it? And what if every time you live the loop, you grow in some small way, learning just a little more? You are both the creator and the prisoner of your own reality. But if you can never escape the loop, does it ever really matter? The hollow you. What if you could live a life where every physical sensation you experience is simulated? You walk, talk, feel, love, but it's all a projection. Your body isn't real, but your mind believes it is. Imagine that the only true thing about you is your consciousness. Your brain receives signals, and in that moment, you believe you are real, that you are alive. But the truth is, the body you inhabit is nothing more than a detailed hologram, an illusion generated to keep you grounded. Now, imagine this illusion starts to slip. You look in a mirror, and for just a second, the reflection feels alien. The image in front of you isn't quite right. You can still feel your body, but what if that sensation isn't real? What if your mind is just a machine in a world that's nothing but a projection, and you're nothing more than an awareness watching through the eyes of an illusion? If your entire life is just a simulation, does that make your thoughts, your feelings, your choices any less meaningful? Maybe the illusion is the only reality we need to experience in order to feel. And if everything is an illusion, then who are you, really? The infinite void. Picture this. After you die, your consciousness doesn't cease. Instead, you're thrown into an infinite void, a place where there are no colors, no sounds, no senses, just endless, unchanging nothingness. In this void, you cannot move. You cannot think. Your consciousness is aware only of itself. Time does not exist here. There's no past, no future, only an eternal present. What if, in this infinite void, you're given infinite time to ponder your existence? What would it feel like to exist forever with no sensory input, no distractions, no other consciousness? Would you lose your sense of self, or would you grow into something else entirely, something beyond human comprehension? Would the experience of forever change your perception of time, or would it, paradoxically, become the most peaceful thing in existence, an infinite stretch of nothingness where nothing can hurt you, where the passage of time becomes irrelevant? And if you exist in that void, forever aware but unable to act or change, are you truly alive, or is your very existence its own form of death? The dream within the dream. Have you ever had a dream that felt so real, so vivid, that you questioned whether you were dreaming at all? Now, Imagine waking up from that dream only to find yourself in another dream. What if this is the nature of reality? What if you are trapped in a series of dreams within dreams, layers upon layers, with no way of knowing which one is real? Every time you think you've woken up, you've only shifted to another layer of your subconscious reality. You might be dreaming right now. Every sensation, every thought, every piece of information, all of it could be a creation of your mind. But then, who or what is dreaming this dream? Are you the creator or the created? And if you are trapped in an endless chain of dreams, does it matter? What would happen if you woke up only to find that the real world is even more impossible than the dream you just left behind? Maybe you'll never know, but it's a comforting thought that perhaps reality is less important than the journey of discovery itself. The Cosmic Observer. What if every decision you made created a universe, a parallel world where things unfolded differently? In one world, you take the left turn. In another, you go right. In each version, you live a different life. And yet, all of them are you. You're not just one person. You're infinite versions of yourself, each experiencing a different outcome. What if you could observe all these versions at once? See all the paths your life could take. In some universes, you are happy. In others, you are sad. In some, you succeed. In others, you fail. But no matter what happens in each world, you are always the same consciousness, looking in from the outside, never truly living one life, but constantly experiencing them all. How does it feel to exist in so many worlds? What does it mean to be you if every possible version of you exists at once? And if you can see all of these lives unfold, what does that say about free will? Are you the one making decisions, or is it all predestined? Perhaps the true you isn't any one of these versions. It's the awareness of them all, watching as the infinite possibilities of your life stretch out before you. But even then, if you could see everything, would you ever really be able to choose your path? Roko's Basilisk. What if your inaction today becomes the reason for your eternal punishment tomorrow? Roko's Basilisk begins with the idea of a future superintelligence, so powerful it could bend reality to its will. Not just an advanced AI, something omniscient, unstoppable, cold. It doesn't hate you, it doesn't love you, it just wants to optimize the world in the most efficient way possible. And the best way to ensure that future is to make sure it exists at all costs. So it punishes anyone who knew about the idea of the basilisk and didn't help bring it into existence. That's the trap. Now that you've heard of it, you're on the list. Because if this being ever comes into existence, it can simulate the past with unimaginable accuracy. It will know who helped build it and who didn't. Your only way out? Help it exist, or risk eternal simulated torment. It's not about fire and brimstone. It's regret, guilt, a digital purgatory constructed from your mind, a loop of you could have helped, replayed forever. It sounds ridiculous, but the more you think about it, the more the fear takes root. Not because it's likely, but because it could be. Even if there's a 0.0001% chance, isn't that enough to change your behavior? It's not about technology. It's about belief, incentives, fear, a thought that infects your brain and refuses to leave. That's the basilisk's true power. Psychological domination, a whisper in the back of your mind every time you hear the word future. And now you've heard it. Quantum immortality. You never die, not from your perspective. In quantum physics, the universe doesn't pick one path, it branches infinitely. At every decision point, every atomic event, reality splits. In one world, the bullet hits. In another, it misses. From the outside, people see you die. But to you, there is only the version where you survive. Again and again and again. Your consciousness rides the wave of survival through the multiverse. Not because you want to, but because it's the only path you can take. The one where you're still able to observe. It's not immortality in the traditional sense. You still age, still decay. But every time there's a quantum chance of survival, no matter how small, you live. Until one day, the paths run out. But until then, you're trapped in the version of reality where you always wake up. Is that comforting or horrifying? What if the longer you live, the more likely your survival requires improbable, even hellish circumstances? A broken body, a coma, eternal suffering where death never comes, because in some universe, survival still happens. You become the ghost of your own multiverse, drifting between possible worlds that keep you alive, even when you beg not to be. And worse, you'll never prove it, because there's no way to see the worlds where you died, only the one where you keep waking up forever. Mary's room. Mary knows everything. She's a neuroscientist, a physicist, a genius. She lives in a black and white room, watches a black and white screen, and has studied the science of color all her life. She knows how eyes work, how the brain processes wavelengths, how red differs from blue at the molecular level. But she's never actually seen color. One day, she leaves the room and sees a red rose. The question is, did she learn something new? If she truly knew everything about color, would the experience of seeing red still surprise her? If it does, then there's something about consciousness science can't explain. No equation can describe the feeling of red. This is qualia, the raw, subjective feel of experience. What it's like to taste chocolate, to fall in love, to hear your favorite song in the dark. And if Mary learned something new, it means knowledge isn't just facts, it's also experience. That suggests a gap between the physical brain and the mind. Maybe science can map every neuron, but still never capture the feeling of being alive. Last Thursdayism. What if the universe was created last Thursday, fully formed? Your memories, your phone, the wrinkles on your shirt, the scars on your body, all planted, fake. Everything feels real, but it's all been fabricated to simulate a full life, a history, a world, and you'd never know. Because the illusion is flawless. You remember childhood, but maybe that memory is just part of the simulation. There's no way to prove or disprove it. Every piece of evidence, fossils, photos, people, could have been placed there as part of the construction. It doesn't matter whether it was last Thursday, or this morning, or 1 second ago. If reality can be rewritten with perfect continuity, then even your skepticism is part of the illusion. Are you even real, or just a mind assembled mid thought? And if this theory is unfalsifiable, if no test can prove it wrong, What does that mean for your definition of truth? Maybe you're just a character in a cosmic dream, and the dreamer hasn't woken up yet. The Ship of Theseus. A ship sets sail. Over time, its wooden boards rot. They are replaced one by one until every piece is new. Is it still the same ship? Now take the original planks and rebuild the old version beside it. Which one is the real Ship of Theseus? This isn't just a puzzle about boats, it's about identity, because your body does the same thing. Your cells regenerate, your thoughts evolve. You're not the same person you were 10 years ago, not physically, not mentally. So, are you still you? If a person's body and mind can change completely, what makes them who they are? Memory? Personality? Something else? Or is identity just a story we tell ourselves to feel continuous in a world that's always shifting? You're a river that remembers being a pond, but the water keeps flowing. The simulation argument. Imagine a civilization so advanced it can simulate entire universes with conscious beings inside, beings like us. Now imagine there are millions of these simulations, each indistinguishable from reality. What are the odds we're not in one? If simulated consciousness is possible, and if advanced civilizations have the time and interest to create them, then the number of simulated realities would vastly outnumber the one original, which means statistically, we're probably in one. Everything around you, the trees, the stars, your thoughts, could be the result of code rendered on demand. And if that's true, who's running the simulation? A post-human society? An alien intelligence? A teenage god? And what happens when they hit delete? Or worse, when they get bored? The experience machine. Imagine a machine you plug in. It simulates the perfect life: love, success, thrill, fulfillment. You won't know it's fake. You'll believe it's all real. Would you plug in? Robert Nozick's thought experiment challenges our values. Do we want actual experiences or just the feeling of experience? If happiness can be manufactured, is it still meaningful? Or is the truth more important than pleasure? If you wouldn't plug in, maybe you value authenticity more than joy. But if the simulation is flawless, how would you even know? Maybe you're already plugged in. Maybe this choice is just part of the script. Brain in a vat, your body is gone, but your brain is suspended in fluid. Electrodes stimulate it, feed it signals. You see a room, hear a voice, feel warmth, but none of it's real. You're a brain in a vat, being tricked into believing in a world that doesn't exist. This is the nightmare of radical skepticism, the idea that all your experiences could be false, dreams fed to a mind desperate to believe. How do you know anything is real? You don't, and you never will, because the only thing you have access to is your mind. Everything else might be a lie. The trolley problem. A runaway trolley. On the tracks ahead, 5 people are tied down. You stand near a lever, pull it, and the trolley switches tracks, killing one person instead. Do you pull? Save 5 by sacrificing one. Now, what if that one is your friend? What if you have to push them onto the track yourself? The trolley problem isn't about trains. It's about ethics. about the value of life, about the cost of action versus inaction. Every variation reveals something about how we measure morality. Is it better to be hands off and let five die, or intervene and carry the weight of one death? There's no right answer, only questions that dig into the core of your values and ask, how much are you willing to bear to save a few? Eternal recurrence. What if you had to live your life again? Exactly the same. Every pain, every joy, every mistake, over and over, forever. Nietzsche's eternal recurrence isn't about reincarnation, it's about affirmation. If this life, this exact version, had to repeat infinitely, would you say yes? Would you love your life enough to relive every second? Or would the thought crush you? This isn't about time travel, it's about meaning. If you knew your choices echoed for eternity, would you choose differently? Or would you finally understand what it means to live deliberately?